Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Vanchakalpadruvesya Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dandavat Pranam devotees. This is a very quick discussion on two things that are the same thing essentially. One devotee sent me in the inbox some photographs that they thought were dubious in terms of depictions of Shri Radha Krishna Yugal. And simultaneously, as I was trying to find the pictures, I found another posting of picture that was similar, and I wrote to that devotee. He's a very nice devotee actually, and I'm sure it was done in innocence, but a depiction also of a inappropriate picture of Shri Radha and Krishna. So it's important to understand that just as we vet writings and we vet kirtans and bhajans, that we have to vet artistic expressions. We should know who is the artist. It depends. Now, if something is more simplistic, something is definitively within the realm of ability to sedantically reconcile it, or something directly heard from our Guru Varga, this is something different. But depictions which cross boundaries regarding especially depictions of the Kam Krida or the Samprayoga of Shri Radha Krishna. And if you don't know what they are, that's the first thing probably to try to look up and to understand, right? But paintings and especially a lot of art in India that has depiction of these intimate pastimes like this, they should be vetted, because we don't have any idea that they have come from any pure Vaishnava. They're not the replication of some realization in the heart of someone, but they've come from the kalpana, means imagination, and perhaps the sensual consciousness of someone. And so those sort of depictions will not help our bhakti, but rather it will stimulate mundane sensual sentiments that have come from our own previous sanskars. So if you want to understand properly the dealings of Radha Krishna Yugal, they should be understood and developed in the association of Sudha Vaishnavas, and your experience should come through the ear. This is called Shruta Ikshita, seeing through the ear. And by seeing through the ear, then according to your adhikar, you will either have the medicinal effect, like in the verse, Prikridam Rajavarubiridam Cha Vishnu. This is a verse in 10th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam that says there's a medicinal effect to hearing with faith from those who have Paramartika Shraddha, high class faith, hearing the narrations of the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis. It can have a medicinal effect on the consciousness to purify it. And then Bhakti Param Pratilabhya Kamam, when Bhakti emerges on the heart, it will dissipate the Rid Rog, the disease of the heart, which is called lust. So this is how to have some connection and evolution in understanding and consciousness of the pastimes of Shri Radha Krishna Yugal. Also, if anyone has proper adhikar, then to the kavya of authorized acharyas like Geet Govinda of Jayadev Goswami, or like in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, or in the Rasa Kavya of Sri Rupa Goswami Pad and our Guru Vargas, there again through hearing, according to your adhikar, you can, if you're qualified, taste the Rasa Samagri inherent in the Leelas of Radha and Krishna. There's a whole explanation of Rasa Siddhanta which should be understood, right? Have we studied Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? Then have we studied Ujjwal Nilamani, right? So, and under high class of guidance. So that would be something that would be a prerequisite to trying to appreciate either bhajan, kavya, or some artistic expressions regarding Shri Shri Radha Krishna Yugal. I remember distinctly once that there's one verse in Geet Govinda, Smara Kalana Kandanam Mamasira Simandanam Dehi Padapalavamudaram. This verse is Krishna is doing Nati. Nati is one of 5 kinds of methods to break the man of Radhika. And he's offering that, O Radhika, I will place my head on your feet. And so there was one artistic expression going around, and someone brought it to Srila Gurudev. And the painting had the feet of Radhika. No, I don't think, can't even remember if the rest of Radhika's body was there, but just the feet, and Krishna with his head on the feet. And they presented it to Gurudev, and Gurudev said this was bogus. This was inappropriate and bogus, right? And it's because there was no proper understanding or no proper connection with Sudha Vaishnava practice, no proper connection with Sudha Vaishnava understanding of these things. So Gurudev immediately said, don't bring such things. We should, just as Mahaprabhu was very vigilant not to hear things which were potentially rasabas, etc. So he would have Swarup Damodar to filter any presentations that were brought to him. So we should also be very vigilant that Shri Shri Radha Krishna Yugal and especially Srila Gurudev are residing in our heart for our continued inspiration and guidance. So we want to avoid ingesting things which are niros, things which are rasabas, things which are corrupted ras, and allowing them to come into our central experience through the eyes or through the ears. And we want to try to vet things before we especially share them and make them part of the Vaishnava Mandal, because again, the internet unfortunately has a dual edge. One side can be very helpful in helping us to communicate and share and grow, and another side of it is very detrimental because it gives leeway or gives entrance for so many things which are harmful to bhakti to come in and become part of the Vaishnava experience, right? So we want to try to be careful to vet things, from whom this painting has come. First of all, is there any description of this particular thing in terms of dress, posture, and everything else, written anywhere by any of our acharyas? I remember once having a discussion with one devotee, and it was regarding some writing in Geet Govinda, regarding some expressions in Kavya of some of the Kamkrita Vilasa of Radha and Krishna. And the devotee at that time spoke on it in such a way that it was like a purified version of mundane sensuality, just purified. But actually, the nature of praying and the nature of how praying functions as a vritti for the pastimes of Radha and Krishna is very, very, first of all, it's very, very deep, intricate, and secondly, it's experiential. It's not really intellectual. It's not really something that you can try to codify based on our material experience. We can't understand what is the nature of intimate senses of touching and so forth and so on in terms of Radha and Krishna's vilas, because all the actions there are the vritti of praying. So how praying is functioning can be experienced by the pure heart of the jiva vicariously. This is called yavad osraya vritti. So it's an experiential reality that comes. So that much we can understand from hearing from our Guru Vargas, from what is written in Ujjal Nilamani, etc. We can understand that in a siddha or sadhaka, right, then the vicarious experience may come in the heart. But it is not something that you can depict according to mundane experience of sensuality and get that same kind of vicarious experience in your heart. So we want to be very careful, extremely careful in discussions, depictions, hearing things that deal with the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and vet them. So another thing though is that could lead to another extreme, which is that somebody, anytime they hear the word Bob, Ross, or anything else, then alarm bells go off. So please don't misconstrue what is Rasa Siddhanta and what is the teachings of our Goswami Varga that's written in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami Pad, and as well Ujjan Nilamani, as well like Priti Sandarbha. Many things are also explained by Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, speaking of which is the Avir Bhav of Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, I believe, yes. So don't confuse that those authorized bona fide writings should not be studied and appreciated. Of course, we should try to do it in Anugatya, under guidance, and genuinely practicing so that something will come into the heart. There's some realization to help our bhakti to grow. But and sometimes this happens in innocence. Somebody sees something like one of these artistic drawings from India, and Radha and Krishna are in some intimately compromising position or something, and it appears, oh wow, very love, very deep. But, you know, first of all, we have no idea where the genesis of that artist's conception has come from. Secondly, it is not a genuine experience that has come through the revelation in ruchi or some more elevated stage of bhakti. It is genuinely, generally come from just remembrance of how love is in the material world, not so-called love, because there's this verse, kaitavam rahitam prema na prema manushaloke. In the material world, there's no real love, right? So, but the mundane sensibilities of what was love and what was sensuality, and then transposing or conflating that with the pure reality in the spiritual world, which are vrittis or functions of prema. So the first thing to grasp is that actually the pastimes of Radha and Krishna are the influence of prema. So their understanding and experience can only happen when there's a deep understanding of what is that prema, right? And so it is not inspired by mundane calm or sensuality, material sensuality. It has come from the vrittis and functions of prema. And if we have no idea what is prema, or we're still processing the growth from anishtita bhakti, means unsteady bhakti, trying to come to nishta and ruchi, then there's no real serious vicarious experience in our own heart. So our appreciation of someone else's imaginary sensual depiction won't be helpful to us. In fact, it'll cause more disturbance. Even if you don't experience it as a gross disturbance in your consciousness, it'll be a subtle implant in your consciousness that won't be helpful or healthy. So just as the third verse in Srimad Bhagavatam is there, Pibata Bhagavatam Rasayam Alayam. The Sanskrit word alayam means until, right? So until there's the ability to taste the rasa samagri in Srimad Bhagavatam will work as what is called rasayana. Rasayana means like a tonic, like a medicine, to help purify the consciousness. In the same way, if you will hear these pastimes, even of Radha Krishna and the Gopis, Vikridam Rajavarubiridam Vishnu Sharanvito Nu Anusuna Jana Avana Yadyaha, if you will hear with what Shraddha you have, and of course hearing from someone who has realized faith, it's called Paramatika Shraddha, then those hearing of Radha and Krishna's pastimes, etc., will be medicine for you. So even though you may not have experiential or the ability to do what is called ashwadan or tasting the rasa, you can become purified by hearing it. So your own sensual interest and shortcomings and so forth may dissipate. It's also explained like that in Bhagavad Gita. Raso Rajam Rasopiyasha Param Dritva Nivartate. That by the experience of the higher taste, that comes from the association of pure devotees and hearing the pastimes of both Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna, etc., then your heart becomes purified and you develop a higher taste. So this is the way to approach anything like that. So we just want to be careful. Like I said, somebody sent some photos to my inbox and then I'm scrolling through because I didn't, he said they were posted on Facebook. So I went back to look to see, well, who's posting. And then one devotee that I think I know this devotee, if it's the, because many devotees have the same name. But, and I know, if it's the devotee I know, she's a very sincere devotee. So I'm sure out of innocence that this was posted, and perhaps, in all humility that I can muster, I'm only appealing that just we should be careful that we don't allow unvetted things, especially things that regard the highest part of our theology, which is the seva of Radha and Krishna Yugal, that we don't allow those things to be portrayed from the kalpana of unvetted artists. Kalpana means imagination. So this was my humble request, and at the same time answering this devotee who, they really didn't ask a question, they just sent these things to me. Oh, look at what's going on, so forth. And also, be a little careful because we don't want to criticize, we don't want to, start to point fingers and so forth. Just in humility, we should, be able to, in a humble way, mention these things, not to be critical, because again, I don't think that it's done maliciously. Now, there may be some persons who, maybe not in our Vaishnava circle, who post all these kind of things because they are in mundane consciousness, and for them, it's a stimulus for their mundane consciousness, and they just happen to be on Facebook or whatever, and so they're posting. So that's a different thing. But for devotees, just like we had a discussion on our Sunday question and answer class maybe 2 weeks ago, there were some devotees who were, and I think I spoke about it on one of these forums here, about dressing Shri Radha and Krishna in holiday outfits. Like this time it was the Christmas holiday outfit, so Radha and Krishna dressed in Santa outfits, and so we want to be mindful that this is the pinnacle of our theology. This is the most worshipable objective, and the dress and everything of Radha and Krishna has all kinds of meaning. So you can't co-opt that and conflate it with the sentiments of the material world around a particular holiday. So because we don't have any information that Saint Nick or Santa was a Sudha Vaishnava, and therefore the culture of Santa Claus and all these things is somehow pure. So, and of course the main thing being, not that, but the main thing being that everything, if you read Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 8, Ramananda Samvad, the nature of the dress of Radha and Krishna, all things like that are discussed there. So that's one place to find it. And everything has a meaning. So the dress of Radha and Krishna is not random. There is a meaning to what they are wearing. And even though we dress the deities in various kinds of wonderful outfits, it's still in line with the mood of what is described there as the essential meanings of why Radha and Krishna are dressed the way they are. So these are all very, very important things. And it's important to give our time, our effort, our ear, and our energy to hearing these things, so that we can all grow in bhakti. And it's equally good for my own edification to try to repeat what I've heard from Guru Sadhana Sastra, to try to be corrected if it need be, and also if I am speaking accurately from what I've heard from Guru Sadhana Sastra, to reiterate it and reinforce it in my own consciousness so that we can all grow. All right, my Dandavat Pranam devotees. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad ki jai, Guru Parampara ki jai, of course, Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Panchakalpa Turubhishya Kripa Sindhavaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Radhe Radhe.